You are listening to 420 Truth Radio. I am your host, Joe Cerletti. Today we're going to be getting to part 2 of our Area 51 interview with world-famous CIA Pilot John Lear. We're getting right off the bat to where we were in our part 1 interview on Area 51. If you haven't checked that video out, please check it out now, because we start about halfway into the Bob Lazar, John Lear story there. And also, we start talking about something called Janet Airlines. What Janet Airlines is a fleet of 747s that leaves Las Vegas Airport every day. There's at least 24 flights going to and from Area 51 almost every hour on schedule. And it shuttles secretly the employees of Area 51. That's how they get there, to the middle of the desert daily. Most of them live in Las Vegas. It's a very secretive airline, and I'm going to be putting pictures in the background for you to check out. Again, this is 420 Truth Radio. Please don't forget to like and subscribe there, and please enjoy. Alright, so picking up where we left off last week, we're on the phone with John Lear here, and we're going to get started right off the bat where we were talking about last week. Bob Lazar got a phone call from his boss saying, "Don't bother coming into work today. I'm going to have someone come pick you up." Bob is then taken to, I believe you said, Creech Air Force Base?
Yeah, at that time it was called, what did they call it then? Desert,
Well, anyways, he had a gun to his head, and they basically said, "Do you want to keep working with us?" And what was his response after that?
yeah, they said, do you want to work with us? And he was non-committal at that point, and they said, Bob, when we gave you this clearance, which is one of the highest clearances you can get, we didn't expect you to go out and tell all of your friends what we were doing out there. And so he was still didn't was non-committal. And then they said, we listened to your phone calls, and that one to John Lear in when he was in Minneapolis, when you said we're going fishing tomorrow night. Boy, that really threw us for a loop. Boy, we couldn't imagine what you meant on that one.
Oh my God, that's some scary stuff. But I mean, I'm sure Bob knew going into it. They were very open. We're going to be listening to everything you're doing and talking about on the phone.
You know.
So basically, what did they let him go even though he was non-committal from the base? They let him loose?
No, they more or less told him that they had to let him go because they knew that because of their phone tapping, that his wife was having an affair with her flight instructor, and so they told him about that. And of course, that was the first he'd heard about it, and it was pretty shocked.
And that was news to Bob at the time, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
That's some scary stuff. So how soon after that did he come to you? Was it that night?
Yeah, he called and said that gave me a brief rundown on what was going on, and he said I'm going to be coming over, and that's when he went over to see Gene and Gene Huff, and that he went over to see Gene, and that's when coming down Charleston and getting on the freeway that another car uh, uh, took a shot at him. There was somebody in the co-pilot seat there, and of his car and of their car, and they took a shot and uh, hit the tire, and so he had to get out and change the tire, and all the time he's afraid
Wow.
going to take another shot.
Wow, that's some scary. That's the first attempt on his life, correct? Within a few weeks.
Right.
That's some scary stuff. So then basically what happened after that? What this is leading up to, how did he end up going public with your help? He goes to George Knapp at KLAS, Las Vegas News Station.
Right. But before that, now he they might take another shot.
Oh
So
my.
he came over and he stayed on the couch room and stayed the whole night there, and just really scared that they were going to take another shot at him.
Rightfully so. 100% rightfully so. I mean, that was very brave of you yourself to let him sleep at your house despite the threats. You knew you were being watched, but I can imagine at times like that, you guys stuck together. That was one of the most important things of how things ended up unfolding here.
Right.
So,
And
yeah.
then let's see, the next night, I forget what happened the next night, but the way we got together with George was uh, George had brought over a pizza to Bob's house for everybody to have a pizza and have some fun there, or try to have some fun. And the it's been so long ago, it kind of hard to put everything together again. But yeah, he certainly did have a problem there. And uh, let's see, what happened? He got together with George, and George had I was telling George about all the stuff
Yes.
as we went along, and so George had been briefed, and it was very interesting to see how he took it. Now, George is really an up and up guy and really sharp, and there's nothing's going to get on his mind that isn't the truth. But it's really interesting when I had told Ned Day all of this, and Ned Day had told me. I said, "Well, what do you think?" This after I presented Ned with all the data and hundreds of papers of stuff, pages of stuff, and I said, "Well, what do you think?" He said, "Well, it can't be true." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I would have known about it." So apparently, Ned Day had some kind of in at Area 51, and that's the way they work it. Is they send a guy to some of the top newspapers and pretend that they're giving him the up and up and the inside scoop and make the newspaper believe that they're really getting the down and dirty. But in fact, all they're doing is steering them in a different direction.
Exactly, to get the press off of their back.
Right. So so Ned was being led in the wrong way, and he told me, "No, it can't be true because I would have known." And those words have stuck with me all over the years. And anyway, George Knapp had heard this conversation. He was standing right in the shadows there at the studio, waiting to get me. And so when Ned stood up to leave, George said, "Well, John, do you mind if I take a look at this stuff?" And he did take a look, and more than a look, and he allowed himself to get all the information, and it was very interesting how he took it. That it might all be true, and took it from there. So over the next few days, we filled George in on all the stuff that was going on, and George thought it was very, very interesting. To this day, I don't understand how uh, how how Ned
George?
Day couldn't have believed what was going on. It was just
Yes.
unbelievable that he could at least take a look. But he said, "No, no, I would have known."
It,
That's how they get a hold of these people at the at the different studios and get them convinced that they're getting the straight scoop.
that just shows you the power of misinformation, John.
Right? Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm trying to say there.
Exactly. So, let's get in more now, John. We've pretty much finished off what happened with Bob. What happened and how Area 51 works now? How people don't understand how intricate it is to get employees into the secret base. And let's start off here. What is Janet?
Janet is the airline that takes employees into um, Groom Lake, and um, we all think that it's Janet, T for Tom, but we don't know for sure, and that's how it sounds on the radio. But that's what we think, Janet, and we think it's a joint something going on and ferrying these people uh, uh, into the base. Now, there's some people that refuse to fly on airplanes, and so they take the bus somehow, some way, and they're bused from on that east road. If you've ever been up at Groom Lake, you can see how the roads are coming in from the north and the east. And if you hang around long enough, you can see the the roads and the black or blue with the windows painted out black. And so you can see these buses come in, and usually it seems that they bus in about 12 to 1500. Or see, the bus in would be about let's see, what would the bus in about 1,000 people.
That's quite a huge number of people, and that number alone shows how many people work at this base on a daily basis. Now, Bob himself was bussed to Site 4 from Area 51, correct?
Yeah, uh, the airplane from McCarran, where they would pull up the airplane at the McCarran site. And when Bob started to work there, he had a way of getting on the airplane from what they call Escondido, and that was where they initially got him on, and then later they built a big terminal uh,
Janet?
for Janet themselves on the southwest portion of McCarran Field, and now it's a huge operation where they pick up these people, and now it's even bigger because they have a new secret base called Sandia. Even though it's uh, even though it was built about the same time as Groom Lake, it's been kept secret, and nobody really knows that much. Now, I had a chance to. I was at that time employed by Department of Energy, and I flew the radiological monitoring system airplane. And what would happen is that I would fly around the test site, taking monitoring the winds and so so that when the shot went off, if there was any problem with it, they would know which way the wind was blowing and how fast it was blowing, so they could plot where, if any, the uh, deadly fumes and stuff were going to go to,
Yes.
and that's called Sandia. It took them almost 20 years to build, and what they did is they took off a part of a mountain up there in Paiute Mesa, and as they took off the mesa, they would take much more dirt, and I think they went down to 5,000 feet, and it's a huge operation. When they took the dirt off, they started taking earth moving machines and digging even deeper. And it's my understanding that they went down a and they had 5 separate holes, and each one was to haul radiological or to hold um, 25,000 personnel. So we had 25,000 personnel, and these personnel were going to be, as you know, this was back in the 80s, so they're well installed there now, and I'm not sure exactly what their job was, but they certainly have a big job there.
So it sounds like a mega complex black site.
Right, major complex site, and then also there's another secret base that it lies out in the middle between Tonopah Test Range and um, Groom Lake. See, Tonopah Test Range and Groom Lake, yeah, and out in the middle there, it used to be called Gold Leaf or something like that, but now they built 2 giant strips, and they have another 2 giant runways that run northeast, no, northwest to southeast, and these 2 runways have a giant hangar in between them. And what the theory is, and the way they work it, is they can have 2 or 3 separate uh, programs going on, and that is to say that one program can operate on the west side of the field and use the western runways, and another set can operate on the east side of the field and use that side of the runways.
Wow, the level of the compartmentalization levels here are so intricate. It blows my mind how detailed these airfields truly are.
Absolutely, and then they're all connected by subterranean um, uh,
Tunnels,
subterranean what?
the underground tunnels.
Underground tunnels, and they have um, high speed trains that maglev trains, and what they do is they go from McCarran to the Luxor, which is only a half a mile, then to Bellagio Hotel to load up more people, and then direct to um, Bellagio, and then up to Groom Lake, and then a bunch of passengers are taken off, and passengers are told, "This is the end. We're going to turn around and go back to Luxor." But what they don't know is that there's another secret strip that they continue on to. Most people don't know about Sandia, so that strip is gone to. Let me take a sip here
Yeah.
and load it up, and then they go up to Sandia, and then they go up to Tonopah Test Range.
And these are all people that are heavily involved in the alien cover up, correct? These aren't your average Joes working on a top secret project.
Right.
This is
The guys that are on these top secret programs don't talk to the average Joe there. As a matter of fact, there's a couple guys that are continually interviewed by the regular news stations in Las Vegas, and they're asked if there's any subterranean trains, as John Lear says, and they said, no, that's not true. But the fact is, it is true, and they don't. Those guys didn't have a high enough clearance to know.
Yeah, it's way above their heads. Way above
Above
their
the
heads. They don't have a need to know either, you know.
right.
So one last thing, John, I wanted to get into element 115. This is the 100% verification of everything Bob Lazar and you guys went through, because back when all this was happening, Bob started talking about something called element 115, which he claimed powered the UFO that they had there at Area 51. And what most people don't know is it's been added to our periodic table.
Right, and our periodic table now goes up to 115, and we have been able. We can't duplicate it, but we were given 500 pounds of the stuff by the ETs, and 500 pounds to use as what we wanted. And you can imagine, instead of using for material that we could make all kinds of really nifty stuff, what they did was make a bomb, and that bomb could destroy a size of the Earth. They could destroy an area about the size of South America, the entire continent. And so, of course, they haven't used it yet, but they are considering using it.
And they've probably tested it on other planets.
Probably, but I really don't know that for sure.
Yeah, like other moons on other planets, real far away. I don't know. Our government would love to test these things somehow.
Yeah, they wouldn't travel. They wouldn't be able to test it on our moon because
Exactly.
our moon is populated. The population of our moon is 1/4 of a billion people. They are humans, but not. And they wouldn't allow us to test a bomb like that. So the cities on our moon are really interesting. They have thousands and thousands of people, cities, hardware, all kinds of stuff. I have a room full of pictures of the moon taken by NASA themselves from the Nevada Lunar Orbiter series that was sent up between 1965 to 1967, and really good, clear pictures. And these were taken before NASA had a real good way of airbrushing to eliminate what they used to call the offensive material. Offensive meaning
UFO related stuff.
yeah, offensive meaning of buildings and cities
Yes.
and all kinds of stuff like that.
That is real intricate stuff, John, and that's what I want to get into on our next episode is in the moon bases. And you as a pilot, you're an expert on this stuff. You clearly see there's something going on up there.
Absolutely, positively, there is no doubt. Uh, Perry Spalter, who has done some of the research, actually most of the research on the moon, she has found out that that the moon's gravity is not 1/6 as we're told. It's actually 65%, 68% that of Earth, and that means that there's no possibility that we could have gone, the U.S. could have gone to the moon in a short time in 1967 or 1969 because there's no possibility that we could have done it at that time.
And it also means a huge chunk of what we think we know about physics is wrong, correct?
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of the name of the scientist in 1915 or 1815 that came up with the rules that he's kept on, and it's very interesting. All that stuff is wrong, which means that since the since all of that stuff was brought out, it means that all of the stuff that NASA has been predicating everything on is wrong also.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get into that more next week, John. Thank you so much for being a part of our show again this week. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, John, and we're gonna continue where we left off today next week. Thanks again, John.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye bye.